Okay, Assalamu alaikum, bonjour, good afternoon. So let me present myself. First of all, Yunus Alami, professor at the University UM6P and head of the department MSN. Together with me is Professor Joan Jacquemin, also professor here at the university, and Madame Salma Ahmedouche, étudiante, student at the NEM program. So today we're going to talk about the NEM program. NEM stands for Materials of Engineering / Philosophy. I'll explain what that means in energy, materials, and entrepreneurship. And the Master of Engineering is the UM6P degree that will be given to engineers that enroll in this program. And Master of Philosophy is the diploma, UM6P diploma that will be given by UM6P for students who have a Master of Science. Okay, so that probably explains the thing. And the master program itself is 1 year. So we're going to talk about UM6P very briefly, and then about MSN, the department that hosts this program, and then the NEM presentation, going into some details of the program, and then we will have some experience sharing by Selma here next to me. And finally, for 35 minutes, we'll have the time to have questions and answers. And joining us in the Q&As, we'll have Ali Amrani and Emel Zaki, who are both members of the managing staff of this program. Okay, so let's get started. This is the map from above, where you see the university at the back. Okay, Mohammed VI Polytechnic, which is in the middle of an ecosystem of different entities that together form what we call Green City of Benguir. So we have the Green Smart and Building Park, the Start Gate for startups, the data center, the Green Energy Park, and so on. Within the university, a number of activities are taking place today. In particular, here in Benguir, we do hard science, more particularly. So we have a new School of Engineering, we have the College of Computing, we have the different institutions like the Architecture, Planning and Design School, as well as the Institute of Science, Technology and Innovation. And then, of course, other campuses around the country in Rabat, in Casablanca, in Laayoune, also have other activities related to research, science, and education. Today, we're about 4,400 people, students, basically. 54% of them are female and 46% are male, 29 nationalities. And the kind of research, I will switch very quickly to the materials, that the kind of research that we do here at the university is varied, but within the MSN department, the Materials Science and Energy department, we investigate materials. We try to understand how materials interact with their environment for purposes related to applications in construction, transport, clothing, hobbies, talking about textiles, for example, as well as energy. And energy is a very big part of what we do here. So let me give you an idea about the department. It's a multidisciplinary research and education and entrepreneurship environment where we are working. We have 6 world-class platforms, laboratory platforms, 10 research teams, 10 research groups, basically all within the materials and energy. Then we have a few training, we have PhD training, of course, but we also have engineers during the MEM program, as well as executive education, where we have executive master, and we also have executive expert certificates. So today, in the department, there are about 58 PhD students working on all of those different research themes that I mentioned. So in terms of education at MSN, to go in a bit more detail, the Master of Engineering Philosophy is a master that is dedicated for people who already have a Master of Science or that have an engineering degree or are early stage professionals that just started their career and they want to propel their career, they want to give it a push. And then it's a full-time program, of course, for 1 year. And then, of course, when it comes to the executive education, it's mainly for confirmed professionals. And then we also have some part-time education, some part-time courses given, of course, within this context. So the Master of Engineering is a full-time and the executive education is part-time. In terms of laboratory infrastructure, some of the pictures show you some of the equipment, but actually it's a very large laboratory with tons of equipment, of state-of-the-art equipment that help us do research at the highest level. And that's very important if we want to excel and bring that added value to the scientific community nationally, but also to the industrial community in Morocco. In terms of research partners, we have many, dozens, national and international. Here are two highlights that just show the level of excellence that we are aiming for. We work very closely with Aldan National Lab, where we have a couple of students as we speak now doing their traineeship. We work with Massachusetts Institute of Technology, MIT, where again we have exchange of students and developing projects and project work. So in the MSN laboratory, we do a number of things. We do synthesis, processing and shaping of materials. We have electron microscopy. We study the mechanical properties of materials. So when it comes to electron microscopy, it's very important to understand the atomistic, or at least the micro mechanisms that take place when you synthesize materials or when you deposit materials, for example. So it's very important to know microscopy and to do electron microscopy. Mechanical properties of materials, many equipments for thermal properties of materials, structure properties of materials. And all of these characterization techniques are being used by, let's say, four main clusters of research. We have the polymer and composite cluster, the surface technology and metallurgy cluster, the sustainable materials and recycling cluster, as well as the energy transition cluster. So this basically gives an idea about the broad range of activities happening at the department. And these are some details about what it means. So the polymer composites, for example, coating of fertilizers, flame retardancy, gas capture and conversion, wastewater treatment, food packaging materials, as well as advanced composite and light materials. When it comes to surface technology and metallurgy, it's about the synthesis of steel alloys, for example, different alloys with different properties, whether it's anti-corrosion properties or other properties. We work also on corrosion protection, corrosion base material, as well as corrosion protection, decorative coatings, functional coatings, and then heat treatment. So these are different technologies related to functionalizing surfaces, but as well as protecting surfaces from corrosion and erosion, for example. Then sustainable materials and recycling. Again, it's a diverse field where we work on the valorization of wastes from the mine, from the city, from chemical plants, and those wastes are then turned or transformed into, let's say, things like geopolymers, and alkali activated materials. These are construction materials, could be used as construction materials, but emanating from wastes. We valorize clays. We develop eco cement that doesn't produce so much CO2 in the process of its manufacturing, but also but keeps exactly the same properties or even better properties than the conventional cement. We do things like extraction of residual resources from byproducts. So we look at the wastes and then we try to extract useful elements from that waste that could have a huge huge value in the market. And then development of different materials such as refractory materials for ovens and other applications. And finally, the energy transition area, where we work a lot on the battery. I'm sure everybody has heard so much noise about the gigafactories and the electrical vehicle batteries. So we work on those materials that go into the manufacturing of a battery, whether it's a cathode, an anode, an electrolyte, or a separator. We work on all of those. We work on thermal energy storage, on electrochemical energy storage, and of course, hydrogen production, hydrogen storage, and hydrogen use. So, and then of course, water energy nexus. Water is a very scarce resource, and it needs to be preserved, but sometimes you also need to desalinate some of the water if you don't have enough within the land. And this is what we do. We work on desalinating water from the sea using innovative and new technologies. So the department, as you see, is very active in different areas, and that can be mirrored in the number of publications that the department has been able to produce. And these are peer-reviewed, high-quality international publications. And we see clearly that there is a tendency of a growth of about 30% a year since 2017, when the department was initially inaugurated. So in total, we have today about 540 journal publications, but we also have book chapters, conference proceedings, and other things. Now, we talked about education, we talked about research. Another very important part of what the department does today is entrepreneurship. And when we talk about entrepreneurship, it's not only about creating startups or, developing products. It's also about the mindset. So what we ask from our students is, or what we try to push them towards through the different training that we have, boot camps and entrepreneurial education and all that, is to get them to think differently, think in terms of market, think in terms of awareness of what's going on in their environment, and also work accordingly, so purposefully. And to help with that, we have at UM6B incubators. We also have funding capabilities. We have top coaches and trainers that help with that process. And we also have industrial partners, whether it's OCP or other companies. That interaction between research, education, and entrepreneurship helps us develop our entrepreneurial activities within the department. And that means also that we grow in terms of activities internally, but also in terms of external partnerships. So we have a lot of partners. These are just a few examples, but a lot of partners from Morocco and abroad, where our students benefit from, of course, the possibility of going spending time as trainees, or where the partners can come and give courses or at least lectures here. So today, more than 40 of our students are abroad, performing their traineeship or end of education work. So at MSN, there are many opportunities for career opportunities, starting from, for example, a junior research position to a PhD position. We have also positions as senior researchers, as postdocs, as research fellows, and of course there are other faculty positions. So that was very briefly and very fast what the MSN department does. And the MEM in itself is a program that we hope will help students explore. It will help them engineer, and it will help them lead not only their work, but also themselves and their environment. So thank you so much. And I will give the word now to Professor Joan Jacquemin, who will be talking about education.
Thank you very much. So, welcome everybody. So, we'll follow now with the main program itself. So, just mentioned by Professor Lamy, so all students enrolled within the main program are MSN members. So, means they have from the first day all possibility to access to all UM6P facilities, but also MSN, I would say, facilities as well. So basically, the architectures of the program follow mainly the main research activity of the MSN department. So why we decide to develop this unique program? Simply because there is a huge demand from Moroccan company industry that they request they have a large need on over 1,500 engineers or well-trained employees. And basically, based on the demand, we try to give an answer to provide to the candidate a different possibility first, to be ready to start a PhD, or second, to launch a startup thanks to the UM6P ecosystem, and as well to prepare the career if people want to pursue in industry, for example. And for that, we decide to split the program in 3 main blocks. So I will present later on each block. The first is the foundation module, which is based on soft skills that we would like to call core skill. The second block is a research introduction module, which mimic the research done within MSN. And finally, industrial and research project module, in which the participants have the possibility to manage and run a different project within the whole academic year. And as already mentioned, it's a full-time program, which will start mid of October. And tuition fees are close to 100,000 dirham. However, participants receive a sponsorship, and the sponsor will be directly academics or industry, and which will make a gap or link within the industrial and research project. So means all students enrolled within the main program will have a supervisor, which will follow the progress of the student within the full academic year, at least for the research projects. And there is a scholarship, so the students receive 100% of the tuition and fees paid, including living stipends, and also an accommodation within the UM6P campus. Duration is 1 year. Location is campus UM6P of Benguerir. And of course, all candidates receive all the benefits like access to the campus facilities, but also medical insurance, health center, and so on. And as I mentioned, this program architecture is developing 3 main blocks, 3 main modules. So in which different aspects of the curriculum will be covered. So if I start with core skills or foundation module, there is a various aspect of soft skills that we cover, including communication science, with communication for writing and oral communication in English, because this program is 100% in English. So it means the students at the end of the training or the year have a very high level in English. That is very important. Complexity in science, entrepreneurships, and there is a various boot camp organized within the year, industrial economics and human augmentation. In terms of the research introduction module, as I already mentioned, this mimics the 4 pillars of the research done at MSN, including energy transition, sustainable material recycling, material of the future, which include new alloy and also polymer and composites, and finally, metallurgy and surface technology. However, to cover these 4 main blocks, all students need to be well trained into all techniques and characterization techniques. It's why we decide to include at the beginning a strong training on material characterization, which involve all techniques available within MSN departments. And finally, the industry engineering and research project. And this is very important as well, because students will receive a sponsorship, and this sponsorship will give a raison d'être for the student to follow their research project. So that is also very important. As mentioned, this program starts mid of October and will end mid of October or end of September 2024. So if I skip this very quickly, this details that we can come back to the Q&A session. So what is really important is for the project, it's very important to mention that many students are MSN members, so they have the possibility to develop their networking within the ecosystem, UM6P ecosystem and MSN department ecosystem, including also the participation to various seminars, workshops, conferences, which enrich their curriculum and their networking. That is, for me, also added values within the program, which make it, I think, quite unique in Morocco. I think I briefly present all aspects of the teaching. I know the teaching approach, and our teaching approach is split in 5 main steps, where the students will have the possibility to discover, ideate, explore, design, and experiment. So it's a progressive learning approach, which is based on learning by doing. So means all our teaching approach are mainly based on case studies and real world challenges. So, and students can work like an individual or group project, which is also very important for them, for the development of the students, I would say. And it's very important also to highlight that our teaching for philosophy is a learning by doing, by following a research-led teaching approach. So it means participants are directly in a hertz of different projects, which are directly related to activity of the MSN department. But I would say not only, because many students actively participate to different events. Like this year, the students have the possibility to visit also different industrial sites like the OCP Safi. They have also the possibility to participate to 3 different conferences. And I think I would give the floor to Salma, which can share her experience on this year cohort. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Jones. My name is Salma Ahmedouche. I am a civil engineer from Hassaniya School of Public Works. And I am a student of the first cohort of the main program. So I will start by sharing how I found out at first about the program. So after having my degree, I started considering multiple opportunities. And that's when I came across your announcement at LinkedIn. So after reading the brochure, I found this very interesting, because that will help me and enable me to orient my career to research and material science. So honestly, the experience inside the MEM was exceeding my expectations. So starting from the induction weeks, because we had the possibility to do multiple visits and multiple activities, starting with knowing what the MSN department do, what the work of the different clusters inside the department. Also to visit industrial sites like OCP Safi, and other facilities inside the green city of Benghazi, like Startgate, like the Green Energy Park, the smart houses also. Concerning the curriculum, the program had shown to be an exceptional platform, because on the side of the intellectual or academic growth, we had the possibility to see multiple clusters. So I can mention some examples. For example, the initiation courses about the surface technology and coatings with Mr. Fisher. We also had the possibility to do an initiation courses to polymers and composites in coordination with Massimo. And that was very interesting to discover the work of the different clusters here in the department. And in parallel, for the foundation modules that are very interesting to improve our soft skills, our critical thinking and problem solving, we had the possibility to do, for example, a negotiation class with Mr. Akalar, the SONACI, the general director. We had also communication in science courses. For example, science ethics with the Moroccan philosopher Ali bin Khalouf. We also had important classes of English. As Mr. Johan said, we need to improve our English, so written and oral, because the goal was to have a good English. Passing now to the industrial project that Mr. Johan presented. So simultaneously, each student will need to work on industrial projects that he will be choosing the cluster he will be working with. So for example, for my case, I was working in metallurgy, and my subject was the production and improvement of abrasion-resistant steels using the reverse engineering approach. And I am doing this work in a collaboration with the ARC lab for metallurgy. So another important thing are the major conferences and the multiple conferences and events that we assisted. For example, ISACAP here in the department that was made by the department. We had the opportunity also to visit the conference Euromar in Marrakesh with Qadi Ayad, in coordination with Qadi Ayad. We also had the opportunity to assist to the Week of Science that is organized here in UM6B. So many opportunities are offered here in the departments and the university. And one key point to highlight are the facilities and resources that are provided here in the laboratory. So we have they have like very and well occupied laboratories. And the most important things is that we were introduced and we were formed in all the technologies that exist in the lab. And we had the possibility to use them concerning your need and your projects. So this acts. Adding to this, the important facilities inside the university. So every student have access to multiple activities in here, including the health center, including post-sport, including the campus, which gives the best conditions to all the students here living and working in the university. Another important thing is the regular feedback sessions that are made here. They are regularly done, and they help us to fuel our energy and to work more to develop our skills. Another important thing here is in the master program, the MEM students work in a supportive and collaborative environment, because either in the individual projects, we also work on collaborative projects. For example, we worked on a case study, which is the optimization of the production process of sulfuric acid for OCP. We also work in smaller groups. For example, we had this work with the Polymers and Composites cluster about the industrialization of master batch and its process production. Adding to this, inside the MSN, we also have the opportunity to actively participate in multiple activities, such as the weekly seminars. There is weekly seminars that are organized where there is many guest speakers that are invited, and that's very important because it helps us to work on our networking, to exchange with these guest speakers. We also have different clubs, social clubs and simulating clubs, and that affects the fun and the practical aspect here in the department. We also have monthly meetings, and this helps the collaboration and the discussion between the different clusters and the different students inside the department. Adding to this, the professors, the mentors, the PhD students, the postdocs, they all have a great commitment towards us and towards everyone. So if you need anything, you will not hesitate to ask the person in question, and they will be delighted to help. So mainly the experience here at the MSN was very exclusive, and I invite you all to apply to the main program.
Thank you very much, Selma. So I think this presentation has come to an end. Now we go over to the Q&A session, and I will ask. So before I do that, I just want to remind everyone that the closing date for application is the 15th of September, and here are some links for admission, and also if you want to visit the website of the department or of the university. So with us for the Q&A session is Amal Zaki, Project Management Officer and responsible here at the department, as well as Ali Amrani, who is Innovation Strategist at the department. So we will be more than happy to hear your questions. I think we already have one. Maybe you can read it.
C'est de chez Soukaina. Bonjour, j'ai un master en géologie. Est-ce que c'est possible d'intégrer à cette formation MSc?
In general, most people that come here, they're actually varied backgrounds. What we are looking for mainly are engineers or masters who are eager to learn, who are excellent already and eager to learn. They want to develop, proactive. They have the right characters. So we base our selection of candidates on the interviews that we do. So there's a filtration by dossier first of all, and then it's an interview. But anybody doing science at some level is welcome to apply. If you have a geology or biology background, it's also okay to apply. Although most of if you're planning to do research, for example, you have to work hard to bring your level up a little bit in the chemistry in particular and materials during the year. There's a lot of support for that. But to enter the program, you do not need to have necessarily a materials or engineering background in material science or energy. I hope that answers the question.
So we have another question. What are the precise conditions to be accepted to this formation in the process?
Okay, thank you. So the background, as I mentioned, just for the
condition to be accepted.
Yeah, okay. So the background could be, as I mentioned, varied as long as it's a science background. But the process is pretty simple. You apply by the 15th of September. You send your application through the site that is mentioned at the end of this presentation. You go back to the slide later. Once you have done that, there you will be invited if you are qualified to an interview in the last week of September. Then, if you are accepted as a candidate for the program, you will then register by the first week of October, and then you start the program in the middle of October. It's pretty simple, straightforward, and as I mentioned, the interviews part will be critical.
à la fin du master, est-ce qu'on aura un diplôme ou juste un certificat?
So we have a diploma, but it's a diploma of UM6P. Okay, it's not a diploma issued by the state. And the reason is because a Master of Engineering doesn't even exist in Morocco, or Master of Philosophy doesn't exist. Yeah? What we have here is Master of Science in Morocco. So Master of Engineering is typically a diploma is given in Anglo-Saxon countries, Anglophone countries, or Master of Philosophy. But we think that that's a very good education that we should integrate in our system here at UM6P, and that's what we are doing.
So we have another question from him. Hello, I wonder whether there is a theoretical driven master's within main program or only industrial.
You want to answer that, or should I answer?
No, it's both. So we cover first theory behind, and then we apply the theory within different case, I would say case studies, which may include industrial problems. It would depend on the case studies, but within our faculty, I just want to recall the faculty here. As you can see, the different members of faculty, there is people from industry, but also a world leader expert in science, like Dr. Khalid Amin or Dr. Giraud, and so on. So just to give you a sense of the flavors of the duality that we'd like to put, of course, to understand theory and to be then able to apply in a real science, I would say. Yeah.
Another question is the scholarship is about the scholarship. Is there a way to know in advance the percentage that will be covered with the scholarship?
Amel, do you want to answer this question?
Yes, sure. Hello, everyone. So regarding the scholarships, this year we will have partnerships with several industrials who will cover 100% of your fees. And on top of that, you will have a living stipend that will be identified later. So ideally, or what we expect, that all students will have access to 100% scholarship covering all the fees.
Thank you.
I have another question. I have a PhD in material science and environment. Can I apply for this master's program?
I wouldn't say don't apply, but I think if you get invited to the interview, the question that you would need to answer is why applying for a master program after a PhD. I would do that. It's quite unusual.
We have another question from Hajar. For students who are still in their first year of master's, do they have the possibility of integrating this training?
For students who have the
First year of master's.
No. You have to have a master or an engineering degree before you integrate this program. Yes.
It's like MD, already need to be the engineer. We have another question from Karal Usama. What is your vision for students with a strong theoretical background in the field of material science but limited experimental experience?
They're very welcome because they will have the possibility to practice, basically, because it's also the duality of the program, because next cohort will have mixed engineer and master as well as a young professional. So it means we will cover different aspects. Of course, some students will have more background on theoretical than experimental and reverse. So basically to get an environment that people learn and practice. That's very, very important. And also understand behind the theory how to apply it. That's very important. So the answer is yes.
Any more questions?
What is the difference between the philosophy master and engineering master?
Okay. It's basically the background. if you have an engineering degree, when you join the program, you will obtain a Master of Engineering, since you're an engineer. If you have a master's degree, Master of Science, then you will receive a Master of Philosophy. So that's just basically is an indicator of where you're coming from. Any more questions? So during our presentation, we didn't really talk too much about entrepreneurship, or how important it is for future graduates. How important it is to be innovative, to have skills of leadership and such things. And I will invite Ali Lamrani to say a few words about innovation and entrepreneurship within the program. Please go ahead. Ali, we can't hear you. Are you muted? You're muted.
Yes.
You're still on mute. We don't hear you.
Okay, can you hear me now?
That's better.
Perfect. Thank you. So entrepreneurship is an important element of the program, and I will elaborate a little bit on that. So the program looks at entrepreneurship in two different ways. First one is entrepreneurship is part of the curriculum. During the integration week or the first few weeks, the integration month or the first few weeks of the program, the students will take an extensive entrepreneurship bootcamp, during which they will learn how to solve problems using entrepreneurship, how to validate technical solutions with the customer. And then during the academic year, there are two entrepreneurship courses, New Ventures 1 and New Ventures Lab. During the first one, we work with students to identify problems in their area of interest, how to validate the problem, how to develop solutions. And during the second one, which is Entrepreneurship Lab, the students will actually work on the launch of their startup, the development of their startup. And then we do that in an engineering lab, an MSN engineering lab that we call the bench, where I am physically. You can see we have behind me, we have a 3D printing machine, we have 3D scanners that help students develop their prototypes. The second element that I mentioned is the way the program looks at entrepreneurship. So it's not only through the curriculum, but through the whole training and courses and labs. We look at them in an entrepreneurial way, that the students have the flexibility to learn, to develop, to work with the professors and with other colleagues in an entrepreneurial way to approach in approaching research, giving them flexibility. Of course, with hard work, the way they work on their industrial projects and their research, it's also we took a different approach by doing, but also with strong elements of entrepreneurship because we believe that is essential for students to be researcher, to grow within enterprise, or to be an entrepreneurs. This element is we believe that it is very, very important. Thank you. Does that cover it?
Yes, it's very good.
Thanks.
We have another 7 minutes, I think. Question.
So I think it's very important for future candidate to prepare the application form. We need a CV, statement of purpose, and the last 3 years transcripts, as well as your copy or digital copy of your diploma, engineering or master. And I think I'm put in the chat website which may be used to apply. I think we receive another question. You take different technology of underground storage of hydrocarbons. Okay, so for storage technology, I would say more in cavity for energy storage, I would say. So we cover caves, cavity air energy storage, for example. Now for storage of hydrocarbons, I do think that you mentioned about CO2 sequestration. I don't know if it's correct. Yes, it's one way to store CO2. However, we do think that is probably one solution, but not the only one. And we within the energy transition module, we cover different storage and conversion technologies, and by giving an introduction of each courses. But we will not, I would say, enter in deep details on each technology. However, if students are really or deeply interested, there's still room to get a small group tutorial for people interested within the topic to have a specific courses on this. But this is really based on the demand. And if you take the Salma feedback, I'm always asking for students to share what they need and what type of courses they would like, and basically this we have a cohort next year. We expect 40 students, and we may have a small group tutorial for very specific question like this one, I would say, because this will be only of interest for a very limited number of students, I would say.
So we still have a few minutes. Can I ask Amel if she has some further points that she wants to highlight about the program?
Yes, just elaborating on what Professor Johan has mentioned. It's the program is really centered around your career goal, your preferences in terms of the topics that you want to dig deeper. So you will have some mandatory modules, and then you will have the possibility to identify the courses that you are the most interested in based on the overview that you had on multiple disciplines, and also the interactions you had with the different clusters within the MSN department. Also, I could basically talk a little bit about the bench program and how it could open up a bridge and the possibility for the MEM students who have advanced startup ideas and projects in energy specifically. So it's one of the chair's initiatives. So within the Department of MSN, we have a portfolio of strategic initiatives, including the Energy Sustainability Chair. And within the chair, the objective is to provide market-driven deep tech solutions in energy transition-related technologies. And within this context, MEM students, as they are engineers or they will benefit from the MEM program, they will have the possibility and they would be eligible to apply to the bench program and have access to funding and technical support. And this would be one of the three career pathways that they can pursue, which is launching their own startup. So yeah, this is what I wanted to underscore.
Great, thank you so much, Emily. And I think we do not have any more questions. We could close this session. I'd like to thank you all for having been with us and for all the questions. I hope we could answer your questions satisfactorily. Thank you on behalf of Selma Nitush, and Joan Jacquemin, Ahmed Zaki, and Ali Amran. Thank you so much and have best of luck. Take care.